Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new episode of project LS400. So this is a bit of an unplanned episode because this week I was just doing some minor stuff to the car when I realized that the things that I was doing may be interesting for others that own an LS400 and run into the same issues that I did. So I decided to pick up the camera and make this into a short little episode. Anyway, roll the intro. So let's uncover Sleeping Beauty for a bit so I can show you what I'm doing in this episode, at least the things that I started. Let me open up the door. You can see in the front I have that molding, that panel off, and also I have the entire rocker panel cover off, because every time I got in and out the car I could see a little gap between the bodywork and that plastic part that sits on it. And when I restored the car and did the rust repairs, I took it off and all those clips were either missing or they were broken. So I installed my own plastic clips on there, but they didn't do a good job. What happened is there was too much play in the clips. They had too much play in the moldings themselves, so and every time you got in and out you could see the gap and they were rattling a little bit. When you have the door closed, this part over here holds it in place. Doesn't really push on there. There's a rubber lip over here that kind of held it in place. So what I wanted to do is install new clips, or at least better clips, because I cannot find the original ones, at least not for a decent price. So I wanted to work on that, and also I wanted to check the underbody coating that I applied, because there was a lot of rust, and especially this corner over here was rotted out and I could see a little bit of rust because the shape is somewhat different and this part of the door falls into that little corner there. Anyway, I'm gonna pick up the camera and show you in a close-up what I found and what the status of things is. So for your orientation, that's the front wheel, there's a jack-up point, and the pinch weld was bent over there and it got bent again. That was my own fault, but I repaired it, and as you can see, yeah, there's some blank spots, so I have to reapply the underbody coating, and also there's a dent over here that was done in the previous life of this car. Now let's head over to the rear, because this spot over here was pretty bad, and I repaired it. You can see a little rust mark over there, and over there I remember it was a large part that I welded in here. It was completely rusted through. I'm gonna put in some clips of the repair and before and after. So yeah, that was a whole lot of work and it turned out really nice. Now the paintwork isn't exactly matching. It doesn't show right now on camera. It is largely covered by the panel that goes over here, so it doesn't show. But anyway, there is some rust over there and I want to do something about that. And also I noticed when I got that rear panel off over here, this entire part is made new by me. It's starting to rust, so I want to treat that too. So that's the project actually for this episode. So I bought a new tool bag. It only cost me 10 euros. I'm very happy with this. I was running back and forth to get my tools and now I have them all together. So what did I bring? This stuff, it's called wasbenzine. I don't know what the English name of this is. It's a mild solvent and it's mild enough to wipe off all the dirt and all the grease without dissolving the existing underbody coating that I applied last year. The only downside of this stuff is it's artificial, it's environmentally friendly, so it doesn't dissolve all that quick. So it does clean very well, but you need a brake clean to get rid of this stuff again. And then it's ready to apply the epoxy rust reformer. This has to cure 24 hours. I'm gonna put this on all the visible rust spots, and after that I'm gonna apply new underbody coating. But before I start off, I want to brush everything off. There's some sand and dirt. Everything is dry now. The car is in a dry storage at the moment. But before I do that, I want to take off the wheel, because when I was working on the O2 sensors, I noticed that all the bolts on the calipers that I cleaned with the wire wheel had started to rust, and I don't like that. I used a brass wire wheel, but apparently it has iron contamination, and those tiny little iron particles have started to rust on the bolts. So I'm going to take off the wheels, and then I'm gonna apply some rust reformer on those bolts too. Anyway, let's get the wheel off and start cleaning. Okay, quick walkthrough in the rear wheel arch. This entire section was made new by me. It was rusted out, and also inside the door. Let me show you in a close-up. This section over here was rusted out. But anyway, the underbody coating inside the wheel arch looks good, and this is where the major rust repair was. That would normally have stranded a project like this, but I welded everything in new over there. I'm gonna put up a link in the top corner. And over here I noticed that there's a screw missing. This is a lower part of the bumper. This is the bumper itself, and there should be a screw over there. Anyway, I'm gonna continue cleaning. I'll pick you up when I'm done. The brake clean has evaporated. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of, it's called Brunox. That stuff. It's an epoxy based rust reformer. I use it on other parts of the car, and this holds up real well. It says to apply several coats, but on a majority of parts underneath the car I applied just 1 or 2 coats, and it's holding up just perfectly fine. And the nice thing about this cotton tip applicator is that it holds more liquid than a brush. So you can really force it into this double layers of panels over here. So there's that. Now the next thing I wanted to show you are the clips that went missing. All of them were either broken off or they were missing. I only have one example left. This is the panel cover, the rocker panel cover from below the passenger door. And there's the clip, and the thing is, there are square holes in this trim piece and there are round holes in the bodywork. So we need to have a clip that's square on one side and round on the side that pushes into the car. I do have a part number, I know where to find them, but they are crazy expensive before I have them over here. So during project LS400 in the last 2 years I bought this kit from AliExpress. And I also bought this very expensive kit from a Dutch supplier, HBM Machines. And as you can see, it's Toyota, Lexus, and it has the original part numbers on there. And I expected, I hope it was in there. It said so on the website, but it didn't. Anyway, problem with these clips is I used these as a replacement. What I did is I cut a little nick in this top part so you can lift it up, and then you can screw them in like this. Now I have one of those red clips in, and that's what I used on the LS, but as you can see and can hear, there's too much play. And yeah, they had too much play, or with the majority eventually it broke off. So I took a second look in this cheap kit from AliExpress. I don't have a part number, but I can show you what I have done now. I took these clips. They're round on the top and round on the bottom. I test fitted it. This goes in real nice and tight, and also there is this rubber collar on there. That's also on the original one. There's a little rubber collar on there that prevents water from getting into the hole and prevents from rotting out of the rocker panels, the rockers themselves, or the hole, which I just show you. So yeah, what I did, I used them on the panel. This is the panel that goes behind the front wheel, and it has this little bracket behind here. Yeah, this is how it sits. I used the same red clips in there, but they also broke out. So I did the same, got a little nick in there, and I turned them in, and here they are. You can see the rear, the white thingies over there. They go in real nice and tight, and I'm really happy with how this sits. So I'm gonna use these same clips for the rocker panel covers. So what I wanted to show you in these scenes is how these panels go back on. They need to go on in a particular order. You start off by putting on the rocker panel covers, starting off with the one in the rear that goes to the rear passenger door. There's a dividing line over there. That one goes on first. Then you can put on the front one, and then I put on this wheel arch, let's call it the fender cover, and I explained there's a bracket in here, and once you pull it off and you pull too hard or you pull in the wrong direction, that bracket will come off and this will start to rattle. In my case, that is the case on the other side, on the passenger side of the car, but you clip that in. There are two screws hidden behind there. I recorded it, but it appears that I've lost that footage. There are a couple of other hidden screws. One is over here. Can I find a light? So one is over here, and the other screw, that's not really hidden. If you look, you can see it, but that one is over here. Anyway, I have those covers back on. Let's close the doors, and I want to put on the rear wheel arch cover. And another thing that I want to do for this episode, I noticed on the cardboard below the car there's still a leak. Now let's slide underneath the car, because I resealed the transmission some, but it appears to be leaking around the rear 4 bolts. And I did check the sump for straightness, and it's dead straight as far as I can tell, and applied a liberal amount of RDV, but still there is a small gap. It has been leaking a bit, so this cross member below the transmission is very dirty, and I want to see if I can get it out, clean that, and have a peek. If you can peek through there. And that's the coupler for the transmission. I just want to check how the rear transmission seal is. Anyway, let's get working. I have 2 long screws over here. This is how it sits, with those little arms grabbing around the corner over here. So let's align the clips. Always check if something is rubbing. There's a little bit of rubbing in this corner over here. Alrighty. The gap is always somewhat on the larger side over here, but that's the way it is with these cars. So that's the panels back on. Now let's crawl underneath the car and let's see if we can get that transmission cross member off. I'm gonna show you what it looks like, but I have to film with my phone over here. So over here we have the brace. It's a bit narrow underneath the car, but the 4 bolts in the center, nuts, are 12 mil, and the ones that bolt to the body of the car are 14 mil bolts. I'm gonna zip them out now. For good measure, I'm gonna add a second jack and make sure that nothing tumbles down. Just look how dirty this is. So we're a couple of hours later. I made a quick run to the workshop, and look how nice this came out. I only have to give it a once over with brake clean, because the cleaning agent I use in my parts washer is not based on solvents. Now I'm cleaning this for the same reason as the bottom of race and rally cars is often painted white. That's that you see leaks and other malfunctions very quick on a clean surface, especially a white surface. So I'm not sure if the transmission sump will stop leaking now, we have to see. But anyway, now that this is clean and it would leak, it would really quickly show on here. And also I gave the bolts and nuts a clean. Just wipe off the last little residue. I'm going to apply a little bit of this copper grease on the bolts, just for good measure. So I'm going to set up the camera underneath the car and then we're going to put this back on. I clean this section to the best of my abilities. There's a little bit of residual grease over there. I'm going to leave that for what it is. Let me see, the arrow points towards the front. There's always an arrow on there. Not sure if the camera picks it up right now, but anyways. So I'm starting off over here with the silent block bolts, nuts. I'll always turn them on a couple of rotations by hand. Alrighty. I don't have any torque specs, but I'm going for a good and tight over here. Now I'm going to relieve the hydraulic jack. Well, that looks a million times better. No one ever sees it, but it's good for my peace of mind. Anyway, it's getting cold here. Let's wrap it up. Now there's one thing that I want to do more than anything, and that's going to test drive the car, but unfortunately it's winter over here. That means it's cold, but we don't have any snow, we don't have any ice, but the roads are white because they put a ton of salt on there. So for the next couple of weeks, months, I won't be taking the car outside. But there's another thing I want to do, and that's finally put the car back on its wheels. And once it's time to go out and drive, to test drive, then I'll start the engine. I'm really eager to test the O2 sensors that I put in and see how the transmission shifts after all the work I've done to the shift solenoids, or all the testing that is. So to wrap up this episode, I'm gonna put the car on its wheels and dust the car off a little bit, and then we'll wrap up this episode. So let's start off by picking the cardboard up. Well folks, there she is, back on her wheels in all her dusty and former glory, but we're making progress and turning this into a beautiful LS400 once again. I'm really happy that I came this far. For the upcoming episodes, I need to fix the leak on the in the roof, the water leak that's still there. I made a recording of it when it was leaking, so I kind of pinpointed where it is. So I want to see if I can fix it without taking the front windscreen off. If I ever take the front windscreen off, I want to repaint the car at the same time, but I'm saving money for that, and that might take a couple of years. And another thing that I need to do is, see if I can put a light on there. I have to take the driver's seat out once more, because the reclining function, maybe I can show you, hope it shows on camera, but as you can see, it only moves on the outer side, so it's crooked. I've worked on this before, but apparently the fix didn't work, so that's something I want to do in the next episode. So apparently I'm back to filming with my smartphone again. I hope I can retrieve the data from the SD card in the camera, otherwise this will be a very short episode, even though filming it took a month and a half, almost 2 months. So yeah, progress is kind of slow, but sometimes that's the way it is. Anyway, I do hope you liked following me along, and if you have any questions regarding the LS400, if you own one of yourself and maybe you need an answer or want to ask me something, please get in touch with me. I'll leave my contact data in the channel info. And yeah, concerning this episode, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.